Good morning, everyone, and Shabbat Shalom. It is great to be here today. We are very thankful, and we're in a good mood. So thank you all for your support, everyone that watches, everyone that attends. We appreciate every single one of you. Thank you all. This is truly a privilege, truly a blessing. We're going to go ahead and start this morning. If you would, let us stand. We're going to go to Ecclesiastes 12, the very end of it. There's some things we want to get out of Ecclesiastes 12 that we had not seen before, and we even get the title of the message from this portion in Ecclesiastes 12. And it's not the part we think about. The whole conclusion is, revere Elohim, guard his commands. This is for all mankind. That's not the focus of today's message. So, Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 9. And besides being wise, Koheleth also taught the people knowledge, and he listened and sought out and laid in order many proverbs. Koheleth sought to find out words of delight and words of truth rightly written. The words of the wise are like goads, and as nails driven by the masters of collections, they were given by one shepherd. And besides these, my son, be warned, the making of many books has no end, and much study is a wearying of the flesh. Let us hear the conclusion of the entire matter. Revere Elohim and guard his commands, for this is to all mankind. For Elohim shall bring every work into right ruling, including all that is hidden, whether good or whether evil. Let us lift up our eyes. Hashem, Adonai, Elohim, Most High, Elyon, thank you for this day. Thank you for your love, your mercy, your tenderness, your truth. Thank you for how you work with us. You are with us. You dwell in us. We pray for clear words that are easy to understand, because the whole goal is the application of our lives, not for us to only be, as some parts say, hearers, but also that we might be able to put it into action, that we might be able to do it. You are so good to us. We praise you. We lift you up on high. Please bless this message. Bless the people, we pray. You are Elohim. We are your people. Baruch Hashem. Hallelujah. Amen. So, we have Ecclesiastes chapter 12 here. Everyone knows Ecclesiastes chapter 12, and everyone knows verse 13, right? Hear the whole conclusion. Revere Elohim, keep his commands. I questioned this time, what are we supposed to preserve? Because that word, keep, we've said it over and over, is shamar. It's to guard, protect, take heed, observe, watch, preserve. So we want to guard his commands. We want to protect his commands. We want to take heed to them. We want to observe, watch, and preserve. I do believe, I like to think, that it could be summed up in the three, right? Love God, love your neighbor, love yourself. Of course, we often say, and there's a lot of confusion on so much focus on your neighbor and not enough focus on loving yourself, because how can you love your neighbor if you don't love yourself? If you don't take care of yourself, how can you take care of anybody else, right? So, and we've also said this, and hopefully it's a good picture, and we'll give other pictures today, images, so we can kind of put this into play, is you can't pour from an empty cup. Okay? So if you don't take care of yourself, how can you take care of others? You can't pour from an empty cup. So love God. So I was thinking and I was pondering and scratching my head. What commandments? Revere Elohim, guard his commands. This is to all mankind. To love God. We know how we love God. Don't have any idols before him. Reverence Elohim. Listen to Elohim. Love yourself. Don't forget to take care of yourself, right? Respect yourself. Guard yourself. And we'll talk about later, guard your heart in the ways of righteousness. So that's your responsibility. And we often say this too, and hopefully it brings light to some of these words that we speak. If you don't take care of yourself, who's going to? Okay? So take care of yourself. When you take care of yourself and you love yourself, you are better and more well equipped to take care of your neighbor and love your neighbor. So now, do we see evidence of what we're saying here? In this small excerpt, do we see evidence of loving God, loving yourself, and loving your neighbor? Of course we do. It's in the first verse we said. So Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 9, besides being wise, Koheleth also taught the people. He taught the people knowledge, and he listened and sought out, laid in order many proverbs. Koheleth sought to find out words of delight, words of truth, rightly written. So we see evidence of this because he taught. He loved the people, therefore he taught the people. And he loved himself enough that he sought out God in wisdom. He wanted to know, right? So is the evidence there? Yes, it's in verse 9 and 10. CJB says Colette worked to develop an attractive writing style in which expressed the truth straightforwardly. The Easy English says the teacher tried to find the right words so that he could show the true meaning of what he wrote. Okay? Anybody can read and teach this and to a degree of saying what's written, but what's there, right? Is it applicable? Do you understand it, right? And there are a lot of people that live out there on blind faith. While we don't understand it, we just believe it. We're just called to believe it, right? And there are things that you had been taught over the years, and you have probably repeated those same words. I don't understand it. I just believe it, right? And because we had those questions, and those questions are valid, right? Those questions have a purpose. Those questions have meaning. It's valid to ask those questions because when you say, well, this doesn't match up with this, or this doesn't, well, I don't understand it. I just believe it. Because there was truth behind those questions that you had. Okay? So, they are valid. So, the Easy English. Now, we ask this again, right? The writer, there is evidence. He loved himself. Therefore, he sought out God. You take care of yourself. You want divine purpose. You seek divine purpose. You seek out God. What does that express? It expresses love towards yourself. Okay? We talk about often your village, right? A mental health, a physical health, an emotional health, and also a spiritual health, right? These are things that you take care of in your life. And when it comes down to it, this is your weapons of warfare, if you want to take it that way. When you're dealing with life, there are parts and aspects of your life that need your emotional health. There are parts and aspects of your life that need your intellectual health, your mental health to be on par, or your physical health, or your spiritual health. You need to be able to tap into these resources that you have in your life, and they need to be healthy and well equipped to do what you need them to do. Okay? So, the writer loved himself, therefore he sought out God through wisdom. Then he loved his neighbor, so he wanted to share what he had learned. Right? So we start there. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, he continues on. Besides being wise, Koheleth also taught the people knowledge, the title of this message. And we have been talking about this over and over because we lack. We lack. The title of the message is, and he listened. Not only did he teach, he also listened. You know what our problem with the ability of us to listen is? We think too much. We're not listening, we're thinking. And you know what? As soon as someone says something, we automatically judge it. We discriminate it. And when we discriminate it, because that's the way our minds work, we want to put it into a compartment of, do I believe this? Do I not believe this? Is this right? Is this wrong? Like we talked about last week, the all or nothing mindset. If it's all or nothing, but we're finding out that there is gray. There is gray. It's not all or nothing. And we'll talk more about our identity later, right? Because it's so crucial. I want you guys to get that. I want you guys to get that. We talk about it often, non-self and not identifying and all these things, right? That attachment is what causes us suffering in our life. So we'll talk more about that later. But the writer loved himself, therefore he sought out God through wisdom. Then he loved his neighbor, so he wanted to share what he had learned. Not only was he teaching, title of the message, and he listened. We have that problem. Why do we have that problem? Because we think too much. It didn't say, and he thought. It's, and he listened. He listened to learn. We listen to judge. We listen to put it into a compartment. We listen so we can either disregard or we can accept. And everything is not black and white, y'all. So, he listened. He listened and he sought out. And all this is one, because I want you to get this. He's talking about he sought out wisdom. He listened when someone else was teaching. And then it says at the very end, the whole sum is to reverence Elohim, cling to his commands. And then what does he say after that? Every work will be judged, whether it's right or whether it's wrong. So you know what that means? Everything that you have learned up until this point, what you hold to be true and what you hold to be false, will be put in the balance. I'm not scared of that, though. You know why? I'm not scared of that because I'm still learning. We're all still learning. And the bottom line is there are things that you thought that you knew that as soon as you began to investigate became to be false, right? Okay, so life, let's just be a little humble right now. Let's be a little bit merciful. Life is a process of learning and unlearning. Learning and unlearning. There are things once you converted that you had to unlearn. And there are things when you converted that you had to learn. Okay? And your life is a continual process of learning and unlearning. Okay? So, he listened. He listened. He listened to what everyone had to say. Tough. And then what did he do? He sought out words that were acceptable. Like we said in the NIV here, the teacher tried to find the right words so that he could show the true meaning of what he wrote. Koheleth worked to develop an attractive writing style in which it expressed the truth straightforwardly. He worked so hard so he could help out people. He worked so hard so he knew how to construct the words correctly. Right? And it's a battle, always. It's always a continual battle. There is a way, and I love that verse in Proverbs, the power of life and death are in the tongue, and the one will eat the fruit thereof. You can get a message across where it will bring enlightening, ever-changing doctrine or whatever, teaching or words to somebody, or you can use the same thing that you had been taught and formulate it in a way that it can destroy somebody. So therefore, it took him a while to do this. He tried to figure out the right way to say it, where people can get it and it can bring life, and people don't have to run off and be scared and afraid and create death. You can say one thing, and have the right intention, and it'd be taken two different ways. So that's the power of words. He listened. He listened. Not only did he teach, but he also listened. And laid out in order many proverbs. So he listened over here, and he listened over there, and he taught over here, and he taught over there. And then he laid out many proverbs. Koheleth sought to find out words of delight, words of truth rightly written. From just one set of people, or from many different people. The words of the wise are like goads, and as nails driven by masters of collections, they were given by one shepherd. And that one shepherd is something that we want to get into, right? NIV says the words of the wise are like goads. In other versions, it says sharp sticks. They're collected sayings like firmly embedded nails. It gave a picture of a board with nails at the end of it. And these things are used to do what? Drive cattle. They're used to drive livestock. So sometimes it feels that way. It is sharp, but it puts us in the right direction. And we'll talk about later, it said to guide your heart. That word guide also means straighten. It puts you in the right direction. Given by one shepherd. I'm going to say this today. Every religion has their star. They have their star. They have the star of their religion, right? You have Jesus in Christianity. You have Moses in Judaism. You have Muhammad over here with the Quran. You have Buddha over here. And you have all these different stars. in each religion. Okay? They're called the archetype is what it's called. It's got a different name. They all have their stars. And I want to tell you this one thing this morning, that if any of them had said any lick of truth, it all came from one shepherd. One. And I believe that. And the reason I believe that is because if you've ever been in a council with anybody, right? Even if you've ever had family meetings, right? Time for a family meeting. So you got your family meeting, right? Everybody has different ideas. How hard is it to get everybody on the same page, right? Imagine if there were many gods out there. That's why you have in these religions, let's bring some sense to this, that's why you have in these religions them fighting all the time, because they all have different ideas. Therefore, you have Hades fighting Zeus, right? You have Jesus fighting the devil. So, because they have different ideas, that's why I believe there is oneness, there is unity, there is breath, there is one life, and it all goes back to one source, because that makes the most sense to me. It might not make sense to you, but it makes the most sense to me. And that's why you have fighting in the Bible, is because you have Yahweh over here and Baal over here, but if you know anything about the history of how this was written, Elyon is above them all, the Most High. That's why Yahweh fights with Baal and Chemosh and all these other gods. And whether you've read your Bible or not, it says sometimes they win. And that's the truth. Because Elyon was the Most High. That's what that means, Most High. You don't believe me? Read Deuteronomy. It says each one has been prescribed their God by Elyon, the Most High. So, let's get some truth today. One shepherd. One. If there's any sense of anything that's going on in religion, it came from one source. One shepherd. And besides these, my son, be warned, the making of many books has no end, and much study is wearing of the flesh. So this is Koleth saying it, talking to his son, I guess. And saying, I have learned, I have listened, I have taught, I am continually learning, I am continually unlearning. Life is just a process. We've told you before, the suffering comes from attachment and identity. Attachment and identity. We'll talk more about that. So the studying of many books, it'll wear you out. And then what does he say? The conclusion is, revere Elohim, guard his commands. This is to all mankind. For Elohim shall bring everything that has been written, everything that has been taught, everything that has been heard into right ruling. We get it? Everything, including all that is hidden, whether good or whether evil. So that's the wholeness. And we'll talk about that too. You make mistakes. Tamim, completeness, wholeness, perfection, is not talking about being blameless like we thought. Perfection is maturity. And it is wholeness. It's wholesomeness. Realizing you are a sum of both mistakes and achievements. But do they define you? You're not only defined by the things that you've done right. You're not only defined by the things that you've done wrong. That's not even who you are. That's what we talk about when we talk about identity. And we'll talk more about it. So, that's the sum of this, right? Now, you've noticed that I have been using some verses. I'm not offended anymore. I'm just not offended. I've been using some verses in what you would call New Testament, right? Just to drive home what we're trying to talk about. So these things were written, right? I'm not holding on to be offended anymore about people's gods. It doesn't bother me. Your gods don't bother me. They just don't bother me. I'm not offended when somebody says, I love Jesus. Well, just love Jesus. Go ahead, whatever. I love Buddha. Well, just love Buddha. Why are we so offended? Why are we trying to convert everybody? We're still in Christianity? Go out and teach everyone and everything that I've taught you, right? Matthew, the end of Matthew 25. I'm not offended anymore. If it drives the point of what I'm trying to make today, I'm going to use it. I use scholars. I use philosophers. I use things my grandparents taught me. I use things my parents taught me. I use things my friends taught me. I use all kinds of stuff to get the point across. And you know why? Because I try to put in order right words that are easy to understand. So, in Romans 15:4, we'll talk about that when we get here. Proverbs 1:1, right? Proverbs 1:1. I'm just not offended anymore. Like, what have you learned? That's what I'm talking about in Ecclesiastes. What has that taught you? Teach me, so I can learn also. Proverbs chapter 1, right? The Proverbs of Shalomoth, son of David, sovereign of Israel. What are these Proverbs for? For knowing wisdom and discipline. This is Proverbs chapter 1, verse 1. We are in 2 now. For knowing wisdom and discipline. What are these Proverbs for? For understanding the words of understanding, for receiving the discipline of wisdom, righteousness, right ruling, and straightness, for giving insight to the simple, knowledge and discretion to the young. The wise one hears and increases learning. Okay? So when you read through this, it gives you things that you can relate to. That's what a parable is, mashal. It is superiority in mental action. It is metaphorical in nature. It is a simile. It is a parable. It is a proverb. The best way to describe it for me, it means parallel. So they give you things in life that you have experienced, and we'll talk about this here in a second. I didn't write it down, so I better speak about it now. It teaches you things that you know in life so you can understand spiritual things. The thing that we have learned here recently, and we're talking about, this is for our learning, right? The slothful man says there is a lion in the way. And we want to give you this because we've been talking about now, right? You cannot think too far into the future. If you think too far into the future, it's going to make you anxious. Okay? If you think you know how it's going to play out, it's going to make you anxious. And you know what's going to happen? You're going to be terrified and you're not going to want to move. So the slothful man says, there must be a lion up there. I'm not going. Okay? The best picture, and God just gave this to us here recently. Have we all been young? 40 years old. Have we all been young? We have all been young. Hopefully, at some point in your time, you have went across a little river, right? And when you see this, you see one stone, and you see another stone, and you see these stepping stones on this river trying to get to the bank on the other side. Well, you know what you got to do? You got to step on one, and then you look for the next one, and then you step on it, and then you look for the next one, and you step on it. That's life. Don't look too far ahead. You're on one stone. And each stone leads you to the next point in life. And by God, when you get to the next stone, you get a better perspective of where you're at. So don't worry about too far ahead, because you'll create this image of there's danger up there and you'll never go anywhere. You will be lazy, slothful. This is for our learning. But you know what? There are things that are written in this Bible, there are things that are collected in this library that won't make sense to you until you get to it. Until you get to it in life. And then it's like the light is turned on. You've read it over and over, and you've read it over and over, and one day you read it and you're like, or one day it enlightens you. Just like the thing that we just learned here recently about the lion and the slothful man. He's talking about you can't think too far in the future, because you will create a scenario that is going to be the death of you. And that's what that means. So, these proverbs were written out for our learning. The word proverb means comparison of things as a rule of measurement. You put them close beside each other. It is to compare one thing to another. It is a story of comparisons. Okay? These stories are for our learning. Okay? That word learning is lachach. It is instruction, learning. There is a word in there. It is uvagel. Unvagel. and it means to persuade. It means to persuade someone to do something by means of deception or flattery. It's persuasiveness. It can be a good thing. It can be a bad thing. The Bible talks about flattery. It's not such a good thing. And we know that deception is not a good thing. So we just look at persuasiveness, right? So these things are here for our learning to persuade us into intellect, for us to get it, for it to make sense to us. And that's my job, to get it to make sense to you. Okay? Through life experiences. Those are the parables. Now, Romans 15:4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. Every single one of these stories, right? Some of them you relate to, some of them you don't relate to. Some of them in points of your life, as you progress and as you grow, then you relate to them. I love thinking about Jacob, right? Very tender, a tender man, loved of his mother, so on, all these things, right? I'm the baby of the family. I think about these things, right? But he had some battles, okay? He had some struggles. He had many troubles in his life. It was not easy for Jacob. He struggled. But you know what? God loved him. And he found God in his own way. And a personal relationship with God. And I relate to that. I relate to Joseph. There are many times that I have been out there and I started low on the totem pole and God raised me up. That's evidence of my life. So you know what I get out of that? This is for our learning. No matter what I do, God is going to take care of me. No matter where I'm at. I worked fast food. I became a team lead. Then I became a supervisor. No matter where I'm at, he's going to take care of me. No matter where. All I got to do is be myself. All I got to do is be the person he created me to be. I'm not trying to be anybody else. I'm not trying to identify as anybody else. And that goes into covetousness, right? The greatest thing you can say for somebody that has something is, I'm glad you got it. I'm glad you get to enjoy it. And then when they enjoy it, enjoy them enjoying it. That's the answer. Because, like I was trying to teach my kids this morning, there is no such thing as mine. You get real upset with mine because nothing is yours. And that's what the guy in Ecclesiastes was dealing with. Well, what the heck happens to it when I die? Who's going to take care of it? Are they going to destroy it? Are they going to take care of it? All these gold and all these riches and all these maids and all these houses and all this flock. What's going to happen to it when I die? And therefore, he got hurt because he didn't know what was going to happen to his stuff. Because you can't take it with you. There is nothing you're going to take with you. Let's learn that. These are for our learning. And he listened. A story of comparisons, right? It's to persuade. It's to instruct us, and I like to describe it this way now. It's to instruct us in the way we've always been told of life, right? The way of life. I would rather say the way of living. It's to instruct us now in the way of living. Because when we were taught life, we always thought it was some far-off thing that we were waiting for. It's not. It's now. Heaven is now. And I do like that verse too. The kingdom of heaven is within you. The kingdom of heaven has come. And all he was doing was teaching that it's here now. That's it. And I love that other verse, the way, the truth, and the life, right? When we were Messianic, we were taught that if you want to get to God, because that's what it says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, none come unto the Father except by me. So we were taught in Christianity, you got to go to Jesus. But what he is saying is, if you want to get to God, do like I do. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one gets unto God except by the way, the truth, and the life. And what he was saying there is being present. You're not going to get to God in your past. You're not going to get to God in your future. What does it say in the book? Choose today. It doesn't say choose yesterday. It doesn't say choose tomorrow. It says choose today whom you will serve. Getting it? Is it all coming together now? And all making sense? So, to instruct in the way of living. 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 The wise one hears and increases learning, and the understanding one gets wise counsel from this. For understanding a proverb and a figure, the words of the wise and their riddles. So we try to dig through this, but every once in a while in life, the light turns on. The dark sayings, the light turns on. So, fools despise wisdom and discipline, but the reverence of Elohim is the beginning of knowledge. You reverence God, you realize, I just can't look beyond the thought that there's not a creator because of how everything is orchestrated, how everything moves together. And what I think has destroyed what we have now is man's desire and man's will to step out of the order of things. That's why I like that song that we listened to. I am following your plan. I am in your plan. What's your plan? And where do you find God? And we say this often. In you. It's in you. And you think about the struggle with Jacob, right? You have Jacob's struggle with the angel. Angel of the Lord, whatever you say, whether he struggled with God, I've seen God face-to-face, Penuel, whatever you want to say there, I believe it's all an internal struggle because that's where we struggle at, inside. When you battle, where is it? It's not an outward battle. You're struggling inside to fight these things. So, Proverbs 10. Proverbs 10. I've been thinking and talking to God and talking to myself here recently. If I can touch one person, that's all that matters. If there's one person out there that gets it. Last week we had somebody comment on the message and said, thank you, I really enjoyed that. One person. I am not out here to please the people. I am not out here for any other reason but for the one person. The one person that wants to listen, the one person that wants to understand, the one person that wants help. That's what I'm here for. Proverbs 10 and 14. And I'm not everybody's cup of tea. That's okay. I'm not bothered by that. I'm not. Because I'm not going to, it's funny, I saw a picture here recently of a box and a woman's head is in it. And she said, this is you trying to fit into everybody's expectations. You don't do it. You can't. You can't. The best thing you can be is you. And we talk about that all the time. Not trying to be anybody else, not wanting to be anybody else, not wanting what other people have, just being you and serving God how he has created you. It's not difficult for us to understand. Proverbs 10 and 14. The wise treasure up knowledge, but the mouth of a fool is near ruin. The rich man's wealth is his strong city. What is the wealth of the wise? His wisdom. The ruin of the poor is his poverty. The wage of the righteous is for life. To increase, the increase of the wicked is for sin. He who heeds discipline is in the way of life, but he who refuses reproof goes astray. So, the wise treasure up knowledge, that's Saphon. They reserve it, they protect it, they hide it, they lay it up. A storing up or hiding of something to prevent discovery. Something watched or covered. So it's not that we're not going to share it, but we love wisdom. We love knowledge. We love the wisdom of God. We want to learn. We want to learn and we want to unlearn. So, the increase, the wage of the righteous is for life. In the King James Version, it says, the labor of the righteous tendeth to life. That word labor is peula. It is to labor, to work, to make what is made. He is a doer. The doer of righteousness tendeth to life. When I think of that word tend, it makes me think of plants, right? If you have a plant, what do? You give it the attention that it needs. So therefore, in your life, you need to give it the attention that it needs, right? The righteous person tendeth to life. Most other versions say leads to life. You need to give your life the attention it needs. And as I was telling my kids also, this is the only one you get. It's the only body you get as of right now. Whether you get another body, who knows? But anyway, so like this is all you have is right now. So tend to what it needs. Okay? Give it what it needs. You're not going to give a plant poison. So why would you give your body poison? You're going to give it what it needs. Okay? And I tell you, your body will appreciate you if you give it what it needs. It will take care of you. It wants to take care of you. That's its design, is to take care of you. And you know what? When you have those fight or flight or stresses or whatever, what is the body trying to do? Protect what is inside. And that's why we have these tumors and cancers, is because it's trying to get it away from the body, to protect the body. But we become so sick that we just continue to get eat up. So, the labor of the righteous, we tend to life. When we labor for righteousness, the NLT says it enhances their lives. It enhances their life. He is on the way of life that keeps instruction. We learn as we go. Think about things your parents taught you that you didn't learn until later in your life. And then it made sense. You learn as you go. And that's why most of these instructions are written as a father to a son. It is a parent to a child. These are the things that I have learned. And even David in this says, or Solomon, David is speaking to Solomon and he says, my father taught me, right? And he says, listen to my instruction. These are the things that I have learned. This here is a call to listen to all. He says, he who heeds discipline is in the way of life. The other versions say the one who listens to instruction. The labor of the righteous tendeth to life. This is a call for us to listen. To listen. Example, okay? This is a call to listen to all. Let me give you an example. How many times have you read through the Bible and then one day you read something you've read multiple times and that time it comes to life? That's why so many times in the Bible it talks about pride, because pride is stopping you from learning. He said the hard heart is stopping you from learning. Don't think you know. Right? I got that figured out. I know that. Don't think you know. Pride comes before destruction. I know things now that I would have never thought to be true, because we close our hearts. Ecclesiastes 12, and he listened. He listened, he sought out, and he laid it in order. That's your job. And what's going to happen at the end? God's going to judge it, whether it was right or whether it was wrong. How many things have you really known? How many things have you really known in life, right? We are always learning and unlearning. There were things you were so sure of, you were going to take it to the grave, and now you no longer practice it. Now, let me give you some help, okay? Thinking is not the problem. Thinking is not the problem. We think that we have a problem. Remember that? Yes, I am, man. I got a thinking problem. He had another problem. But anyway, he didn't have a thinking problem. He had another problem. So thinking is not the problem. Believing and attachment is the problem. Okay? When you believe it and you attach yourself to it, that's the problem. Let me give you the example, right? We all make mistakes. Every single one of us. But does that make you a mistake? You have begun to identify as the mistake. And you're not a mistake. When you make so many mistakes and so many failures, you begin to think you are the failure. You begin to think you're the mistake. And that's what's wrong with identification. We begin to identify that way. I tell you, by God, you do great things. I tell you, by God, you do good things. You can, you're able, it's possible. When we begin to identify, and that's what we mean about identification, we make mistakes, we are not a mistake. We fail, but we are not a failure. Okay? Same thing, and this is the way we sometimes say it to ourselves. Oh, that was stupid, right? Oh, that was dumb, right? But just because you did one stupid or dumb thing does not make you dumb as a whole. And that's what I'm talking about, being whole. You make mistakes, but you also have achievements. You do dumb things, but you also do smart things. But as soon as we can kind of step away from our achievements and our failures and realize that none of these are even us, you begin to be set free. Proverbs 23. Proverbs 23:15. My son, if your heart shall be wise, my heart rejoices, even I. And my kidneys exult when your lips speak what is right. Do not let your heart envy sinners, but be in the reverence of Hashem all day long. For certain there is a latter end, and let your expectancy not be cut off. Hear, my son, and be wise, and guard your heart in the way. Guide your heart in the way. All wise words come from one shepherd. David here says to Shalomoth, as he is writing, Solomon, guide your heart. We know what heart is. It is the consciousness of man. But to guide is ashar, to be straight. You know what it means? To be honest. Be honest. Guide. Too often, like we talked about last week, we make up excuses. We excuse and we accuse. And it's back and forth. Just be honest. That's what God is calling us to be, right? Be honest with yourself. Be honest where you're at. Straighten your heart. It is your responsibility to guide your mind. Thinking is not the problem. How we identify is the problem. So, to be straight, guide. To be honest, to lead. To guide is to instruct the seat of your thought and your emotion. The mind, in the way of living. This book is a collection of stories of the individual's experience with the divine. The quicker we learn that, the better off we'll be. Okay? It is written that we might not know the book, but the God that is experienced by the individuals written in it. Proverbs 11. Proverbs 11:1, a false scale is an abomination to Hashem, but a perfect weight, a mature weight, an even weight, a balanced weight is his delight. Pride comes, then comes shame, but with the humble is wisdom. So always be humble. The integrity of the straight ones guides them. So we talk about often guiding your thoughts, guiding your emotions, guiding this body. That is the responsibility of self. That is responsibility and identification, trying to uncover who you really are, right? So emotions run wild, body falls apart, mind thinks all kinds of things, right? Your responsibility as self is to guide it, right? Don't let it guide you, because if your body guides you, you want sugar all the time, right? Don't let your body guide you. You discipline the body. You discipline the mind. You guide the emotions. Don't let them guide you, because they'll run off. Okay? Thinking is not the problem. A false scale is an abomination to Hashem, but a perfect weight is his delight. Pride comes, then comes shame, but with the humble is wisdom. The integrity of the straight one guides him. So that integrity is tuma. It's innocence, integrity, maturity. Another way to describe integrity is doing the right thing even when no one's watching. You don't need the praise of anyone. You don't need the reward of anyone. You just do it because it's the right thing to do. You know what some of these root words in Tuma is? Integrity, tamim, perfect, tam, whole, wholesome, complete. You make mistakes. We all do. But you are not a mistake. Okay? As soon as you begin to identify as the failure, you're going to be ruined. You won't want to do anything. Okay? We bring all that to say this, and I'm going to end it this way. Matthew 5:8. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the pure in